So welcome to Leading Lights. And today my guest is Paul Bickford. Paul is a senior manager, sales training and enablement at Epicor Software. He's also the Denver chapter president for the Sales Enablement Society. Welcome, Paul.
Hey, thank you, Britton. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, this is a pleasure. So I guess just to kind of get started, get a little oriented here, tell me a bit about Epicor, the sort of scope of your operations there from a sales perspective, and what your role is in relation to that. So just
Sure. Well, we sell ERP software. We have probably 300 or so salespeople in the Americas, and then probably another couple hundred between international, and then channel partners can vary at a given time. And so the scope of my responsibility is sales enablement distinctly for Epicor's internal organization, and then I have a peer who is in charge of sales enablement distinctly for the channel partners. And so that's where I spend the bulk of my time.
Got it. And so a little bit more, tell us about the sales force. Just give us a little bit of elaboration on the kind of scope of it, the structure of it. What does it look like?
Well, sure. So we have our sales force broken into distinct groups. We sell by vertical, more so than geography. I mean, there are geographic territories for sure, but the three industries we sell into are manufacturing, retail, and wholesale distribution, with kind of a subset in lumber building materials. And so, again, we sell ERP software to those niche markets, and our value proposition is because it's been crafted and developed in such a way that is specific to those industries, that there's less time and money spent on implementation, less customization needed, and easy, turnkey plug and play solutions. And so probably our biggest sales force is in the manufacturing space. And then, of course, there are multiple sub-verticals, right, in all of our different areas. So we've got territory managers, and they do all of the outbound selling. We refer to those as KNAs, or key new accounts. That's what they go after. And then we have what we call CAMs, customer account managers, and they're farmers. They go after current customers and see how they can supplement and enhance what they already own from us by purchasing additional modules, licenses, hardware, what have you, depending on. And then we've got a BDR organization, which I spend a lot of time with. I'll actually be highlighting our results with them at the Sales Enablement Society conference next month, with the experience there with the methodology and structure I've put into place around sales enablement. And that's about 65 or 70 BDRs that support the territory managers for our key new accounts and within the sales organization.
So what does enablement look like overall? How many people are they? Are they dedicated to the different verticals, or how's it kind of organized?
Well, as you know, what happens in a lot of companies, I've worked where I've run sales enablement with a team underneath me, but this company's like many that I've been in, or several, I should say, where it's just me, kind of a one-man show. Except I shouldn't say there's two of us. So there's my peer who works on channel enablement, and there's me who focuses on the internal work. So he and I play off of each other and support each other as peers. And that's pretty much it as far as people resources. We're able to lean a little bit on learning and development. And we've got a fantastic senior vice president of product marketing focused on sales enablement named Scott Hayes. And Scott's been really fantastic to work with. He really a lot. Sometimes, I'll say sometimes, marketing people know marketing, and that's fantastic because that's what they do. But very few marketing people that I have liaised with. I'm sure there are plenty out there that I have liaised with in my career.
Right. Really
understand and get it with what sales is and does, and sales enablement, more so than just building collateral, if that makes sense, or creating campaigns. And I've really been pleased working with Epicor that there really is a very tight tether, and versus kind of a battle between either or with sales or marketing, is an understanding that it's both. And it's been great having Scott come in, because he was with the organization, left, and now he's back. and has really brought a renewed energy and focus on helping us get the tools we need for continued success. Because I've spent most of my time doing skills training on sales methodology, and then for managers, leadership training for managers to learn their people, how to coach their people, how to have a performance management strategy, right? And most managers are like, what does that even mean? And so we've done a lot, I think, great work in aligning with some of the groups. Still need to scale it out, candidly, but excited about where we're headed and what we've already done.
Excellent. So I'm going to return to some of the things you've discovered and kind of what view that gives you, your perspective. Let me ask you, though, because you are leading the chapter there in Denver Society, and you're going to be a speaker at the upcoming event in Dallas. Tell us about what you're looking forward to at that event. Kind of what does that mean to you? Why did you want to be there? What, maybe in some sense you're telling us, why did you want to be part of this society? What's that meant to you?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. The way the society started was at first somebody reached out to me to get involved, and I thought of this as just another LinkedIn group to join, right? And I'm probably in 50 groups, and I rarely go to most of them, to be candid. And so, I didn't think much about it, but getting involved and really helping understand the intent of the group, and then being part of building the culture of the practitioners, sales enablement practitioners in the group, has been really powerful for me. I'm a pretty passionate, enthusiastic person in general, and there are pros and cons to that, right? But getting in with a group of peers in the space professionally who are really excited to define what this is and what it does. I mean, I can, remember my career as I came through as a President's Club salesman and sales manager, and then got into sales training and learning and development, and kind of looking at my next step. I really was kind of challenged to go, I'm either going to have to go into HR learning and development, which I didn't feel was really where I wanted to head, or I need to go back into sales leadership and look to be a director, vice president of sales, which wasn't really something I was as passionate about doing. And so it's kind of like, where do I go? Right. And sales enablement kind of came up, and I just saw this as an extension of, as I have learned what it takes to make sales teams successful, discovering, well, it's not just the training, managers have to be involved. And then going, well, and we got to have tools. And, well, wait, senior leadership has to understand what needs to be done and support with activity and budget. And it's like discovering all these things, I think, concurrently with others in the space. The concept of a full, broad-scoped sales enablement as a function was born. And so it's been great and inspiring to be a part of a group where we have no money. It's all volunteers, and the excitement that we've been able to generate and drink from ourselves with getting this group together to really forge the definition of what it is we do, what it is we can do. I feel pretty credible in the space, and I'm usually a pretty confident guy. And I think, Scott Santucci has laid out an environment where we can be vulnerable too. And so it's been great because I've learned things that I didn't even know about sales enablement. So, for example, about the CFO and finances and how we define revenue as part of sales enablement. Right. That hadn't occurred to me. And so then the other part of humility is, okay, I'm a sales guy at a DNA level, right? At operations to be savvy, but I'm not a finance guy. So, hey, what can I learn so that I continue to grow, to be able to have those financial discussions with financial leaders that approve budgets that go to the sales leaders for us to be able to fund our efforts. And usually, in my experience, right, most of us stop at that sales leader level. And so I've been really pleased at the opportunities I have to grow and develop as well, with the understanding of what it is we do. The umbrella just seems to keep getting bigger and bigger. And so I had a thought the other day of a talk or an article of sales enablement is sales, or sales enablement is the organization, or something like that, because it seems as we're understanding these tethers, these tendrils, these tentacles are kind of going into every different piece, because if each of those functions and silos are not aligned with what we want to accomplish, we're not going to be able to fully realize the sales results that we are charged with trying to produce.
Well, that's a great point of view. It's certainly something a drum I've beaten is sales enablement leaders have to be thinking as silo busters and boundary spanners. We have to be looking across the boundaries, or we're just not going to get it done. And that has been a very powerful aspect and perspective that I think that's been highlighted in the society is we've got to think across these boundaries, and that's essential. So let me ask you, you've made some discoveries, generated some insights about driving performance through skill development. And I'd like to hear your point of view about that and kind of what you've learned and what that speaks, what you want to say to your peers that is valuable so that they can apply in their own work to elevate themselves and their groups and their organizations.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. One of the things that I see a lot, and with the best of intentions, is a focus on training around, teaching skills. But if you really look at the objective, or at least the way a traditional program is constructed, it's really focused on knowledge acquisition, making sure people know the new information, right?
Right.
But usually that's not vetted and tracked. And then the other piece is without focusing on skills application, like it, but can you do it, right? And then showing that you can do it, that consistency afterwards, right? The character and integrity of driving with consistency and real world with the understanding there's all these things going on to get real behavior adoption afterwards. But what I always say is if we're teaching the right stuff in the right way, this is not an ask. It's not something new in the inbox. It's just a way to do what they're already charged with doing, which in sales, it's hitting your number and filling your pipeline. And in management, it's managing your people, right? Hitting your number and developing your people. And so everything we do should just be a way to take what they're already doing to do in less time more effectively. And I think positioning it that way and ensuring the content and delivery methods are structured in a way to help build that bridge, I think that's where we get credibility. So I'll be talking about what do you do to drive behavior adoption after events. And it really starts on the front end before you even plan the training and look at the whole strategy of enablement, of which training is usually just a part, and then having leadership involved, having leadership, at least the direct managers in the training with their people, with the training programs focused on skills application, modeling, the trainer modeling what good, show them. When they're in a sales conversation, you have the conversation as the trainer and show them how to do that. I sometimes do what I call schizophrenic role plays, Britton, where I play the salesperson and I play the customer and I play, or sometimes I've recorded videos in organizations of the wrong way and then the right way. And it's always the wrong way is always kind of funny because it makes people self-aware sometimes that, oh man, I do that.
Sybil selling.
Yeah. And then having them practice doing it after it's modeled and then driving the coaching and assessing like we do a sales certification program where people have to prove they know it. So there's a post-assessment, like a test, right? To show that you've seen it, but do you really know it without looking at it? And then an oral exam to prove, can you do it?
Right.
And then in the game from the manager too, because they're checking the box saying, my person is able to execute the methodology that we've embraced. And now it's up to that manager to coach it. And we've had some really cool things with the group I'm working with currently, kind of a peer mentoring program that they actually kind of started. And it's creating a bench for leadership, and it's allowing them to help each other in addition to the managers working with them. And that's been really neat to see that take root and blossom and evolve in the last few months.
Well, this has been great. Thank you for some insights into what you're going to bring in Dallas and what you've learned. And I think that's all very valuable to our audience members who are really trying to learn from other practitioners who are out there experiencing these environments, these challenges, taking the blows, overcoming the barriers, learning how to span the boundaries and so forth. And it sounds like you're doing a fantastic job of that. So I look forward to hearing the extended version as we meet in the great state of Texas.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I appreciate that, and I look forward to learning from the rest of our peers with everything that's being presented. It's hard to pick. There's so many great sessions. Looking at the agenda, it's hard to pick what to go to. And I think that's the problem you want to have. And so I'm excited, Britton, as I know you are, that we'll be actually recording the sessions and having summarized takeaways of the collaborative discussions in each of the sessions to share with members who weren't able to attend or have to pick one session over another that they'd equally like to get exposure to.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Paul. I mean, this really is an opportunity for us to collectively build this knowledge base, that we're all contributing to, this body of knowledge, if you will. And that's part of it. Part of it's being there. It's a social learning experience. Part of it's, we'll capture what happens in these different sessions and share it, and the conversations will continue. This is the power of the Sales Enablement Society. As I see it, branching out with all of these practitioners, internetworked.
Yes.
And supporting each other. I mean, I think it's powerful. So I want to thank you for joining me on Leading Lights. This has been a very stimulating discussion, and I look forward to seeing you in person. I've seen you face to face. Now I'll get to see you in person in Dallas. Yes. So thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Britton. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You got it. Take care.